Fort Raven Island, Pacific Ocean. Autumn, 1972. The sea was angry. Waves crashed against the black cliffs of Raven Island with enough force to shake the old prison walls. Gray clouds rolled overhead, swallowing the afternoon sunlight and turning the entire island into a world of shadows. In the middle of the island stood the prison itself. Tall, concrete walls, watchtowers with armed guards, barbed wire stretching endlessly, and behind those walls, fear. Hundreds of prisoners stood silently inside the dusty courtyard, their faces carrying scars, bruises, and years of hopelessness. Nobody smiled here, nobody laughed, because this prison belonged to them, the Crimson Sisters, 5 women, 5 fighters, 5 legends. Nobody knew their real names anymore. The prisoners called them by titles: the Falcon, the Cobra, the Phantom, the Storm, and their leader, the Queen. Every man on this island had challenged them at least once. Every man had lost. Some lasted 30 seconds. A few survived 1 minute. No one had ever lasted 5. The wooden platform in the center of the courtyard was stained with old blood and broken pride. It wasn't a stage. It was an execution ground for warriors. Suddenly, the front gate opened. Everyone turned. A small boat had arrived. 2 guards stepped forward, and behind them walked a man in dark blue clothes. He carried no luggage, no weapons, no chains. He looked calm. Too calm. He wasn't particularly tall. His shoulders weren't massive. He didn't look dangerous. Several prisoners laughed. One of them spat onto the ground. "That's the new guy?" Another prisoner grinned. "He'll be dead before sunset." The man ignored them. His black eyes slowly studied the prison, the towers, the walls, the guards, the stage, and finally, the 5 women standing beneath the roof of the wooden platform. They were all wearing dark red combat suits. Their expressions never changed. The Falcon crossed her arms. The Cobra looked bored. The Phantom stared at him without blinking. The Storm smirked. And the Queen simply watched. She looked directly into the newcomer's eyes. For several seconds, nobody moved. Even the wind seemed to stop. Then she spoke. "Your name?" The man answered quietly. "Bruce." "Bruce what?" He looked at her. "Bruce Lee." Silence. One of the older prisoners frowned. The name sounded familiar. Then another prisoner's eyes widened. "No," a whisper spread. "Bruce Lee. It can't be." "The martial artist. The man from Hong Kong." The Storm laughed. She stepped forward. "This is him? The famous Bruce Lee?" The Falcon chuckled. "I expected someone bigger." The Cobra cracked her neck. "I expected someone stronger." Bruce said nothing. He simply stood there. The Queen slowly descended from the stage. She circled him once, twice, studying him. Then she stopped. "You don't look like a legend." Bruce finally smiled. "Legends usually don't." Several prisoners laughed. The Storm's smile disappeared. She didn't like his answer. Not at all. She stepped down from the platform. Her boots struck the wood. 1 step, 2 steps. Then she stood directly in front of him. She was taller, stronger, younger, and clearly irritated. "You know where you are?" Bruce nodded. "A prison." "No," she smiled coldly. "This is our kingdom." Bruce looked around. At the guards, the prisoners, the walls, then back at her. "It looks more like a cage." The entire courtyard froze. Nobody spoke to the Crimson Sisters like that. Ever. The Storm's jaw tightened. "You've got courage." Bruce nodded. "Sometimes." She stepped closer. "Or maybe you're stupid." Bruce shrugged. "Maybe." A prisoner covered his mouth. Another shook his head. This man had just arrived, and somehow he was already provoking death. The Storm suddenly pointed toward the stage. "You see that platform?" Bruce looked. She smiled. "Every fighter who stands there loses." Bruce looked at her again. Eventually, her eyes narrowed. "You're funny." Sometimes. She hated how calm he was. Most men trembled. Most men begged. This one looked as if he had arrived for tea. The Queen raised her hand. The Storm immediately became silent. The leader approached Bruce once more. "You came here willingly." "Yes." "Why?" Bruce looked into her eyes. "For you." The courtyard became silent again. The falcon frowned. The cobra frowned. Even the Queen seemed surprised. "For us?" Bruce nodded. "I heard stories." "What stories?" 5 warriors defeating everyone who challenged them. The Queen remained expressionless. "And?" "I wanted to see if the stories were true." The Storm laughed loudly. "Oh, I like this one." The falcon grinned. "He's either brave or insane." The Queen never smiled. She simply stared. "Are you challenging us?" Bruce answered immediately. "Yes." Gasps spread throughout the courtyard. One prisoner actually took a step backward. Nobody challenged the Crimson Sisters. Nobody. The Queen looked at him for a long time. Then she spoke. "If you survive 5 minutes," she pointed toward the front gate, "you leave this island." Bruce blinked. "And if I don't?" The Storm smiled. "You stay here forever." Bruce looked toward the wooden stage, then back at them. "One question." The Queen nodded. "Which one of you fights first?" The Storm's smile vanished. The falcon burst into laughter. The cobra smirked. The phantom's lips slightly curved. Even several prisoners couldn't believe what they were hearing. This man wasn't afraid, not even a little. The Queen looked into his eyes again. For the first time, she saw something unusual. There was no anger, no arrogance, no fear, only confidence. And something else, a strange calmness, the kind of calm that existed right before lightning struck. She suddenly felt it. Instinct. Every warrior possessed it, and hers was whispering something. Danger. The Storm jumped onto the stage. Her boots struck the wood. Bam! She pointed toward Bruce. "Come on, legend." The prisoners immediately backed away. The circle around the stage widened. Everybody wanted to see this. The famous Bruce Lee against one of the Crimson Sisters. Bruce slowly walked toward the platform. Step, step, step. The sky darkened. Thunder rumbled somewhere above the island. Bruce climbed onto the stage. The Storm rolled her shoulders, cracked her fingers, and smiled. "I'll break you in under a minute." Bruce took his stance. 1 foot forward. Hands relaxed. Eyes calm. "No." The Storm frowned. "No?" Bruce looked at her. "You'll try." The entire prison courtyard fell silent. Then she attacked. She exploded forward like a bullet. Her right kick sliced through the air. Whoosh! But Bruce wasn't there. She blinked. Impossible. A left kick. Nothing. A spinning elbow. Nothing. The prisoner's eyes widened. He wasn't blocking. He wasn't attacking. He was simply gone. Moving. Flowing. Like water. The Storm attacked again. And again, and again, faster, harder, more violently. Her feet hammered the wooden platform. Bang, bang, bang. Sweat appeared on her forehead. Because she couldn't touch him. Not once. Bruce's face never changed. He watched her, measured her, studied her. The queen narrowed her eyes. The falcon stopped smiling. The cobra uncrossed her arms. And for the first time, the phantom looked surprised. Bruce suddenly spoke. You rely too much on speed. The storm attacked. Whoosh! Bruce moved. You lose balance after your left kick. She attacked again. You lower your shoulder before every elbow. Again, again, again. Her breathing became heavier. Bruce wasn't fighting. He was reading her, like a book. And she realized something terrifying. He had already figured her out. The storm screamed and launched herself forward with everything she had, her fastest kick, her strongest attack. The prisoners gasped. This technique had defeated dozens of men. Her foot flew toward Bruce's face. Then Bruce moved, a blur. His hand rose, and suddenly he was holding her ankle. Silence, absolute silence. The storm's eyes widened. She couldn't move. Bruce looked at her calmly. Then he smiled. You should never show all your cards. And gently, he pushed. The storm flew backward. Crash! She hit the stage and rolled across the wooden boards. Nobody breathed. Nobody blinked. The island had just witnessed something impossible. One of the Crimson Sisters had been knocked down. And Bruce Lee hadn't even thrown a punch. Far above them, lightning flashed across the sky. The real battle had only just begun. Rain began to fall. At first, it was only a few drops, then more. Within seconds, cold rain covered the prison yard and turned the dust into dark mud. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The entire courtyard stared at the wooden platform. The storm was on one knee. One of the Crimson Sisters had fallen. For years, this had never happened. Ever. Water dripped from her black hair as she slowly looked up. Her eyes were filled with disbelief, not because she had lost, because she hadn't even touched him. Bruce Lee stood exactly where he had been a moment ago. His breathing was calm, not a single drop of sweat. The prisoners looked at him as if they were seeing a ghost. One man whispered, "Who is this guy?" Another prisoner slowly shook his head. "He's different." The storm stood up. Her pride hurt far more than her body. She clenched her fists. "I wasn't ready." Bruce remained silent. "I said I wasn't ready." Still no answer. Rain continued falling. The storm's face turned red. "Fight me again," Bruce finally spoke. "You already fought." "No," she pointed at him. "I underestimated you." Bruce nodded. "That's true." Her eyes widened. Several prisoners actually laughed. The storm looked ready to explode. The queen suddenly spoke, "Enough!" The storm immediately became silent. She hated it. Every instinct inside her wanted to attack again, but she obeyed. The queen stepped onto the stage. The rain touched her face, but she didn't even blink. She looked at Bruce, then at the storm, then back at Bruce. "You didn't hit her." Bruce nodded. "No." "Why?" Bruce looked toward the prisoners, then toward the prison walls, then back at the queen. "She wasn't my enemy." The answer surprised everyone, even the queen. The storm laughed angrily. "Not your enemy?" She pointed at herself. "I just tried to break your head." Bruce shrugged. "You failed." Several prisoners laughed again. The storm looked ready to kill someone. The queen raised her hand. Silence returned. Then she said something unexpected. "Cobra!" A woman stepped forward. She was taller than the storm, older, calmer. Her eyes looked dangerous. She wore no expression. The prisoners immediately became nervous. Some even took another step backward. Unlike the storm, the cobra never lost control. She didn't shout, she didn't boast, she simply destroyed people. Slowly, methodically, painfully. The cobra climbed onto the platform. The wooden boards creaked beneath her boots. She looked at Bruce. "You're fast." Bruce nodded. "Sometimes." She removed her gloves. "I don't care about speed." She dropped the gloves onto the platform. "I break bones." Silence. Bruce simply looked at her. She continued. "I've fought champions." Another glove dropped. "I've fought soldiers." She stepped closer. "And I've put 37 men in hospitals." Rain dripped from her chin. Then she looked directly into his eyes. "I'm curious." Bruce waited. She asked quietly, "Do legends scream?" For the first time, Bruce smiled. "I guess we'll find out." The storm stepped away from the stage. The falcon folded her arms. The phantom stared without blinking. The queen remained perfectly still. The prisoners could feel it. This fight was different. The storm had relied on speed. The cobra relied on violence. The queen slowly lowered her hand. The fight began. The cobra moved first. No warning, no stance, no hesitation. She exploded forward. Bam! Her fist shot toward Bruce's face. Bruce leaned away. A second punch came, then a third, then an elbow, then a knee. The attacks never stopped. The prisoners gasped. She wasn't fighting, she was hunting. Bruce retreated. 1 step, 2 steps, 3. Her punches chased him everywhere. Wham! Crack! Bang! The wooden platform trembled beneath them. Rainwater splashed with every movement. Bruce blocked 1 strike. Pain shot through his arm. His eyes narrowed slightly. The cobra noticed and smiled. She was powerful, extremely powerful. Her next punch came even harder. Bruce blocked again. Crack! This time he actually moved backward. A prisoner gasped. "He felt that one?" The storm smiled. Finally, someone was pushing him. The cobra attacked again, and again, and again. Every strike carried frightening force. Bruce suddenly realized something. She wasn't trying to hit his face. She was targeting his arms. She wanted to destroy his defense. A punch. Block. Pain. Another punch. Block. Pain. The cobra smiled wider. She had a plan. Break his guard, break his body, then break his spirit. She drove another punch toward his ribs. Bruce moved. Too late. Boom! The fist connected. The sound echoed across the prison yard. Bruce took 3 steps backward. Silence. The prisoners couldn't believe it. Bruce had been hit. The storm looked victorious. The falcon smiled. Even the phantom blinked. A drop of water rolled down Bruce's face. He touched his ribs. The hit was heavy. Very heavy. The cobra slowly approached him. "You bleed." Bruce looked at his hand. A small amount of blood. The cobra nodded. "Good." She cracked her neck. "Now this is a fight." The rain became heavier. Thunder growled above the island. Bruce slowly exhaled. The cobra took another step. "You move beautifully." Another step. "But beauty doesn't win fights." Another. Power does. She charged. Her fist flew toward his head. Bruce blocked. Boom! Pain. Another punch. Boom! Pain. Another. The prisoners could hardly follow the movements. She was like a machine. Bruce retreated again and again. The edge of the platform was now behind him. Nowhere left to go. The cobra smiled. She knew. She had him. She attacked. A right punch. Bruce blocked. A left block. A knee block. Then a spinning elbow. Crack! The attack struck Bruce's shoulder. His body turned. The prisoners gasped. He stumbled. The storm shouted, "Finish him!" The cobra's fist came like a cannon straight toward his face. Everything slowed. Rain fell. Thunder flashed. The prisoners leaned forward. And suddenly, Bruce closed his eyes, just for 1 second, 1 breath, 1 moment. Then his eyes opened. Everything changed. He moved, not backward, forward, directly into her attack. The cobra's eyes widened. Impossible. Bruce slipped beside her punch. One hand redirected her arm, the other struck. Pack! A short strike to the chest. She didn't stop. A second strike. Pack! Then another. Pack! Then another. Pack! Then another. Pack! 5 strikes. 5 impossibly fast hits. The cobra staggered. Her expression changed. Confusion. She couldn't breathe. Bruce suddenly stepped in. A final short punch. Boom! The cobra flew backward. She crashed onto the wooden platform. Silence. Absolute silence. The rain was the only sound. The cobra tried to stand. Couldn't. She fell back down. The entire prison yard stared. Bruce was breathing harder now. Blood ran from his lip. His shoulder hurt. His ribs burned. But he remained standing. The storm looked horrified. The falcon was no longer smiling. Even the phantom looked uneasy. And for the first time, the queen's eyes narrowed. She finally understood something. This man wasn't surviving. He wasn't enduring. He wasn't lucky. Bruce Lee was getting stronger. Every minute, every strike, every fight. And somewhere deep inside her, for the first time in many years, she felt something she had almost forgotten. Unease. Then Bruce slowly looked at the remaining women. Rain dripped from his hair. Blood touched his lips. But his eyes remained calm. He raised his hand and beckoned. Who's next? The rain refused to stop. Cold water poured from the dark sky and hammered against the prison yard. Nobody cared. Nobody even blinked. Every pair of eyes remained fixed on the wooden platform. Bruce Lee stood alone. 2 of the Crimson Sisters had already fallen. The storm, the cobra, both defeated. Both still struggling to understand what had happened. The prisoners looked at Bruce as if he had stepped out of a myth. For years, these women had ruled Raven Island through fear. Now, a man wearing simple blue clothes had shattered that fear in less than 20 minutes. Bruce slowly lowered his hand. Silence. Rainwater dripped from his fingertips. The remaining 3 women stared at him. The falcon, the phantom, the queen. None of them looked relaxed anymore. Bruce's chest rose and fell. The fight with the cobra had cost him. His ribs hurt, his shoulder throbbed. Blood rested on the corner of his mouth. He could feel the pain. But pain never frightened him. Pain was information. Pain was a teacher. Pain reminded him he was alive. Thunder exploded above the prison. Boom! The sound echoed through the courtyard. The falcon suddenly stepped forward. She was smiling, but this smile looked different. There was no amusement, no arrogance, only excitement. At last, she had found someone worth fighting. She climbed onto the stage. The wood groaned beneath her boots. She stopped several feet away from Bruce. Rain ran across her face. Her eyes never left his. For several seconds, neither of them moved. Then she smiled. "I finally understand." Bruce said nothing. She looked at the fallen cobra, then at the storm, then back at him. "You're dangerous." Bruce shrugged. "Sometimes." The falcon laughed. The prisoners frowned. It wasn't a normal laugh. It sounded happy. She looked toward the sky, then back at him. "I've waited a long time for this." Bruce remained silent. She slowly removed her jacket and threw it aside. Underneath was a sleeveless combat uniform. Her arms were covered in scars. Dozens of scars. Old ones, new ones, knife wounds, burn marks. The prisoners looked uncomfortable. Bruce studied her. "You've fought many battles." The falcon nodded. "I've survived every one." She looked directly into his eyes. "Do you know why?" Bruce waited. She smiled. "Because I enjoy fighting." Silence. "I don't fight for money." Rain dripped from her chin. "I don't fight for pride." Another drop fell. "I fight because violence tells the truth." Bruce's eyes narrowed slightly. She continued, "When two people fight, there are no lies." Another step. "No masks." Another. "No pretending." She stopped. "Only truth." Bruce finally spoke. "And what truth did you find?" The falcon smiled. She answered softly, "Everyone breaks." The words seemed to become part of the rain itself. Everyone breaks. The prisoners looked away, because they believed her. This prison had broken all of them. Bruce looked at her quietly. Then he asked, "And if someone doesn't?" For the first time, her smile disappeared. She answered immediately, "Impossible." Bruce nodded. "I see." The falcon frowned. That answer bothered her. There was no fear in his voice, no doubt. It was almost as if he disagreed. The queen watched carefully. Something strange was happening. She knew the falcon better than anyone, and she had never seen this expression on her face before. The falcon looked almost nervous. She suddenly took a deep breath. Then she attacked. Whoosh! She disappeared. Several prisoners gasped. She was fast, far faster than the storm. 1 second she stood before Bruce. The next, she was beside him. A kick exploded toward his ribs. Boom! Bruce blocked. Pain shot through his arm. A punch came immediately, then an elbow, then another kick. She moved like wind, no rhythm, no pattern, no hesitation. Bruce retreated. The falcon followed. Bang! 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 Her attacks became a storm. The prisoners couldn't follow them. All they saw were shadows. Rainwater exploded into the air. Wood creaked. Feet moved. Bodies blurred. Bruce blocked another strike. Then another, then another. His breathing grew heavier. The falcon smiled. At last someone could keep up. She attacked faster. Her knee struck. Bruce moved. Her elbow followed. Bruce moved again. She spun. Her heel cut through the air. Bruce leaned backward. The kick missed his nose by inches. Several prisoners shouted. The falcon laughed. "Oh, this is beautiful!" She attacked again. Bruce blocked. She laughed again. "You can see everything!" Another strike. "You understand movement!" Another. "You understand timing!" Another. You understand combat!" Her eyes almost glowed. She wasn't angry, she was ecstatic. Bruce suddenly understood. This woman wasn't fighting him. She was dancing, and the battlefield was her stage. She launched herself into the air, a spinning kick, then another, then another. The attacks looked impossible. The prisoners stood frozen. Nobody could move like this. Nobody. Bruce blocked the first, dodged the second, avoided the third. But, boom! The fourth kick struck his shoulder. Pain exploded. He stumbled. The falcon's eyes widened. She had hit him. Bruce regained balance, but she was already moving. Another kick. Boom! His ribs. Another. Boom! His side. Another. Boom! His chest. He stepped backward. Then another step. Then another. The prisoners stared. Bruce Lee was losing ground. The storm slowly smiled. The cobra raised her head. Even the queen looked concerned. The falcon attacked again, 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 again. The platform trembled. Rain poured. Thunder roared. Bruce's breathing became rough. Pain spread through his body. The falcon stopped. For one brief moment, she stared at him. Her smile slowly disappeared. She saw it. His injuries, his breathing, the blood. He was tired. And suddenly, she understood. The man standing before her wasn't invincible. He was human. A human being who had already fought 2 difficult battles. For some reason, she didn't like that thought. She wanted him at his best, because only then would she discover the truth. She took another step. Bruce raised his hands. She looked into his eyes, and then she attacked with everything she had, a blur, her fastest movement, her strongest kick, a technique she had never shown anyone. Even the queen's eyes widened. The kick flew toward Bruce's head. There was nowhere to move, nowhere to escape. The prisoners held their breath. Then, Bruce did something impossible. He stepped forward, directly into the attack. The falcon's eyes widened. He entered her range. Her kick lost power, and suddenly, Bruce's hand touched her leg, then her shoulder, then, pack! A strike. Pack! Another. Pack! Another. 3 hits, so fast that nobody saw them. The falcon's body froze. Bruce's eyes met hers. For 1 second, time seemed to stop. Then he whispered, "Everyone breaks." She blinked. He continued, "But not everyone stays broken." And then, boom! His palm struck her chest. The falcon flew backward. Crash! She crashed onto the wooden platform and slid across the rain-soaked boards. Silence. No one moved. No one breathed. The falcon slowly tried to sit up. Failed. She remained on the floor. Rain fell onto her face. She looked at Bruce. He was breathing hard. Very hard. His body swayed slightly. Blood ran from his lip. One eye had begun to swell. His shoulder trembled. He looked exhausted. Yet, he was still standing. The falcon slowly smiled. Not because she had lost, because she finally understood. There was someone in this world who refused to break. She laughed softly, then lay back down. The prison yard remained silent. 3 sisters had fallen. Only 2 remained. The Phantom and the Queen. The Phantom slowly stepped forward. For the first time since the fights began, she spoke. Her voice was barely louder than the rain. "You should rest." Every prisoner looked at her. Bruce blinked. The phantom continued. "You're injured." Bruce looked at her, then smiled slightly. "And?" She stared at him for several seconds. Then she said something nobody expected. "I don't want to fight an exhausted man." The entire courtyard froze. Even the Queen looked surprised. The phantom slowly climbed onto the stage. Her dark eyes never left Bruce. Rain ran down her face. Then she stopped. Only a few feet separated them. Bruce looked at her quietly. She looked back. And for the first time that night, Bruce felt something strange. Not hatred, not arrogance, not excitement, something else. The phantom looked sad. Then she quietly raised her hands and said only 3 words. "Let's begin, Bruce." The rain became heavier. It poured across Raven Island like a waterfall from the sky. Thunder rolled endlessly above the prison. The courtyard had become a sea of mud and silence. 3 of the Crimson Sisters had fallen: the Storm, the Cobra, the Falcon. Now only 2 remained: the Phantom and the Queen. Bruce stood in the middle of the wooden platform. He was still on his feet, but barely. Blood ran from his lip. His shoulder shook slightly. One side of his chest burned every time he breathed. Every muscle in his body screamed. Yet his eyes remained calm. The phantom stood before him. Rain dripped from her black hair. Unlike the others, she showed no anger, no excitement, no pride, only sadness. The prisoners looked from one fighter to the other. Nobody spoke. Something felt different. Even the rain seemed quieter. The phantom slowly raised her hands. Bruce did the same. For several seconds, they simply looked at each other. Then she spoke. "You really came here to challenge us?" Bruce nodded. "Yes." "Why?" Bruce looked toward the prison walls, then the watchtowers, then the prisoners. "I heard there were strong fighters here." The phantom looked confused. "That's all?" Bruce smiled slightly. "I like meeting strong people." Silence. The phantom lowered her eyes for a moment. Then she asked another question. "You're injured?" "Yes." "You could die?" "Maybe." She looked at him again. "You're not afraid?" Bruce thought for a second, then answered quietly, "No." Thunder growled above them. The phantom stared at him. For the first time in many years, she met someone who truly meant those words. No fear. Not because he thought he couldn't die, because he had already accepted the possibility. She slowly nodded. Then she attacked. But unlike the others, she made no sound, no shout, no scream, no battle cry. She simply moved, and suddenly she disappeared. Bruce's eyes widened. Fast, incredibly fast, a hand struck toward his throat. Bruce moved. A second attack came immediately, then another, then another. The prisoners couldn't even see her. She looked like a shadow moving through rain. Bruce blocked. Another attack, blocked. Another, another, another. No power, no brutality, no wasted movement. Everything was precise, efficient, beautiful. Bruce's eyes narrowed. This woman was different. The Storm attacked with emotion, the Cobra with power, the Falcon with joy, the Phantom fought with purpose. Every strike was exactly where it needed to be, no more, no less. She moved again. Her hand touched his shoulder, then, pack! A strike. Pain exploded. Another, pack! His ribs. Another, pack! His chest. Bruce stumbled. The prisoners gasped. The Phantom followed. No hesitation. She appeared beside him, then behind him, then before him. She was everywhere. Rainwater burst into the air. Feet struck wood. Hands blurred. Bruce's breathing became heavier. His injuries were slowing him down. The Phantom saw it. She attacked again. Boom! A palm struck his chest. Bruce stepped backward. Again. Another strike. Again. Another. Again. The edge of the platform appeared behind him. Nowhere left. The Phantom suddenly stopped. Her chest rose slowly. Rain covered her face. She looked directly into his eyes. Then she said softly, "You're tired." Bruce smiled. A little. "You can't continue." He said nothing. She continued. "Why keep fighting?" Bruce looked at her, then slowly asked, "Why did you stop?" The question surprised her. She blinked. Bruce continued, "You had the advantage." Silence. "You could have attacked." Still silence. Then he smiled. "But you didn't." Rain fell between them. The Phantom looked away, and for the first time, the Queen's eyes narrowed. She knew. She understood. The Phantom was hesitating. Bruce took one step forward. The Phantom looked at him again. He spoke quietly. "You don't like hurting people." Silence. "No. You fight because you have to." Silence. "No." Another step. "You've never wanted this life." Her breathing changed. Bruce looked directly into her eyes. "You've been trapped here." The words struck harder than any punch. The Phantom froze. A memory appeared. Years ago, a young girl, a martial arts school, dreams, laughter, then war, violence, death, and finally, this island, this prison, this cage. Rain mixed with tears on her face. She whispered, "How do you know?" Bruce answered softly, "Because your eyes don't belong in this place." Silence. Nobody moved. Even the prisoners seemed frozen. The Phantom stared at him. No one had ever seen her, not truly, not until now. And somehow, this injured stranger understood her completely. Her hands slowly lowered. Bruce lowered his, too. For several seconds, they simply stood there. Then, boom! Thunder exploded. The Queen suddenly stepped onto the stage. The sound of her boots echoed. Everyone turned. The Phantom looked at her leader. The Queen's face remained calm, but her eyes were cold. "Move." Silence. The Phantom didn't move. The Queen repeated herself, "Move." The Phantom slowly shook her head. The entire prison yard froze. Nobody had ever disobeyed the Queen. Ever. The Queen stared at her. "You refuse?" The Phantom looked at Bruce, then back at the Queen. Her voice trembled. "He's not our enemy." Silence. The Queen's eyes became colder. Then, slap! The sound echoed. The Queen had struck her. The Phantom stumbled. Every prisoner looked horrified. The Queen had never touched her sisters. Never. The Phantom slowly raised her head. Rain dripped from her face. The Queen looked down at her. "You've become weak." Silence. "You've forgotten who we are." The Phantom whispered, "I remember exactly who we are." The Queen stared. Then she stepped past her. Now she stood before Bruce, at last, the leader, the final opponent. Rain poured around them. Lightning flashed. The prisoners forgot to breathe. The Queen slowly raised her hands. Bruce did the same. For several seconds, they simply looked at each other. Then the Queen spoke. I understand now. Bruce waited. You didn't come to challenge us. Silence. You came to change us. Bruce smiled slightly. Did I? The Queen looked at her fallen sisters, then at the prisoners, then back at him. For the first time, she smiled. A sad smile. No man has ever defeated all 5 of us. Rain continued falling. And no man has ever reminded us who we used to be. She looked directly into his eyes. Then she attacked. Fast, terrifyingly fast. Bruce moved. A strike, another. They exchanged blows like lightning. Bang, bang, bang. Neither gave ground. The prisoners stared in disbelief. The Queen was incredible. Every movement perfect, every attack dangerous. Bruce blocked, countered, moved, turned. Rain exploded around them. Wood trembled beneath their feet. Minutes passed. Neither fell. The Queen attacked again. Bruce blocked. Again. Finally, boom! A kick struck Bruce's side. Pain exploded. He stumbled. The Queen attacked. Bruce countered. Pack! Her shoulder. She spun. A kick. He blocked. Another strike. Another counter. Neither stopped. Both breathed heavily. Rain poured. Thunder roared. Then suddenly, both stopped. Silence. Bruce looked exhausted. The Queen looked exhausted. They stared at one another. Then the Queen smiled, a real smile. The first one anyone had ever seen. She lowered her hands. Bruce blinked. She spoke quietly. You win. Silence. The prisoners couldn't believe it. The storm stood. The cobra stared. The falcon looked shocked. The phantom's eyes widened. The Queen looked toward the sky, then back at Bruce. We built this prison because we thought strength meant fear. Rain touched her face. You showed us something else. She looked at her sisters. Strength means standing even when you're broken. Silence. The Queen slowly extended her hand. Bruce looked at it, then at her. She smiled. Welcome to Raven Island, Bruce Lee. Bruce looked at the hand for a moment, then smiled, and shook it. At that exact second, boom! A massive explosion shook the ground. Everyone froze. Another explosion, then another. The watchtower collapsed. Prisoners screamed. Guards shouted. From beneath the prison, an enormous steel door slowly opened. A dark staircase appeared. Cold air rose from below. Then, footsteps. Heavy footsteps. 1, 2, 3. Dozens of them. The Crimson Sisters looked horrified. The Queen whispered, No. Bruce looked at her. What is it? She stared into the darkness beneath the prison. Her face had turned pale. Then she answered, The real prison, another footstep echoed, is underneath us. And from the darkness below, someone laughed.